What's Planned Parenthood?
It's an abortion factory.
Jay, you don't know what you're talking about. They save lives.
By killing babies?
Jay, please stop.
Watch YouTube, guys.
I want to move on to the next bullet point that I have here, which is there is some clear propaganda in this show. Like, there is some very clear propaganda in this show. And I think the one episode that really, really pointed it out the worst was the Planned Parenthood episode that they did. The Planned Parenthood episode that they did, I watched it, and I wanted to call my sister because I knew she watches the show. And I already know that she knows this stuff, but I wanted to have like a conversation with her and just say, I don't know if you saw that episode, but that's like a bunch of crock of crap, right? Because some of the things, I actually went back and I rewatched the episode recently so I could take some of these bullet points down. The episode starts out, if I remember correctly, and it's somewhat fresh in my mind. The stupid sex ed teacher comes in. He's a virgin at that point in the show. He has no idea what sex even is. And he's teaching all these kids who are presumptively also virgins, and he's teaching them incorrect things. So as a way to kind of joke about it, they stop him and they say, no, some of these things that you're saying is wrong and blah, blah, blah. And then there's also another child in the show who's obviously very mentally screwed up in a lot of ways because he's having sex with pillow cushions. And the pillow cushion kid says something along the lines of Planned Parenthood is just a death baby factory. And then all of the characters on the show who are the educated and intelligent children, woke kids are like, actually, no, you're wrong. And one of them says this, and I want to make this a point. One of the characters says, you have to realize abortions make up only a tiny percentage of what Planned Parenthood does. Okay. So I went and I looked up some statistics. Okay. This statistic is from the Washington Post. The Washington Post. I went and double checked this. Now, Planned Parenthood states that abortion is only 3% of what it does. However, the Washington Post claims that it's actually more accurately between 15 to 37% annually. And the reason
that is not an okay margin. I mean,
now
15 to 37.
I want to point something out. I did some further reading on this, and the reason that Planned Parenthood says abortion's only 3% of what we do is because when a woman comes in, she has to go through a multitude of different levels before they can actually abort the child. Okay, and abortion is kind of a touchy topic. We're not talking about the ethics of abortion. We're talking about Planned Parenthood and their statistics they're giving on abortion. That's what we're talking about here. Planned Parenthood states that it's only 3%. However, what ends up happening is a woman comes in, she has a bunch of different things that they have to do. And because certain things are more expensive or time consuming, they don't consider the abortion as a part of the whole. They only go for the thing that is the majority of what happens. So so the doctor visits and the discussing of what different pathways they have to do, any medications they have to take, and anything like that of the sort, pap smears and mammograms and things of that nature, radiology things. So a woman could literally come in, not know she's pregnant, or have an inkling that she's pregnant, go through, an x-ray, a sonogram, maybe get a pap smear while she's there as well, maybe get a mammogram while she's there as well, just because she's there. She's there, so why not? And the doctors recommend, well, you're already here, so why don't you do it? And then when she finally gets through all 4 of these things and she's like, I didn't know I was pregnant. Well, do you want the child? Maybe you shouldn't have the child. Maybe you should have the child. No, I do want to abort the child. Well, that's her choice, sure. But then they don't consider that the main reason why she came in, because it wasn't the main reason why she came in. So they don't mark it as what she came in for. So unless a woman goes into Planned Parenthood and says, I want an abortion and that's all I want today, that's where that 3% metric comes from.
That's incredibly disingenuous, because at the end of the day, there's the ultimate most important procedure that is being performed, I would argue, is the abortion. I would argue that the abortion is has more significance to the woman's life than getting a mammogram.
Yes. So here's the thing. If Planned Parenthood only does 3%, if only 3% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortions, why do they do over 600,000 abortions a year? That doesn't seem like a low number. It's over
500,000.
Over 500,000. And there are over 1 million abortions that happen a year in the United States alone. And if you want to consider it a means of death, it is the thing that kills the most things in the country, which, again, this is a touchy subject, and we can talk about this on another date, but 600,000 plus abortions a year is what we're talking about here from Planned Parenthood. There is no way that that can only be 3% of what they do. So 15 to 37% seems like a much more marginal number that makes more sense. Here's the other statistic from the nationalreview.com. Again, I don't know if the political affiliation, but for every one adoption referral, they found for every one adoption referral where a woman comes in and says, hey, I'm thinking about having a child, and they say, oh, well, maybe you should adopt. For every one adoption referral that goes through, they perform 83 abortions. 83 abortions for every one adoption that goes through. So once again, the point I'm getting at with this Big Mouth show is they are disingenuously propagating and lying about factual statistics that you can research and look up because the show is targeted to children. And it's not we are not the main target audience. They want you to think that because of the way that they talk about the show, but there's no parental locks from, I mean, everybody has Netflix these days. Yeah. There are no parental locks keeping those 11, 12, 13-year-old bored children from watching Big Mouth. There's nothing stopping them. Really, unless they have a kids account. But but that's a completely different story. Those kids accounts are made for kids who are like 7 or younger, 8 or younger. Okay, so you have 12-year-olds watching this, and they're saying, "Oh, Planned Parenthood's not bad." I'm not arguing whether it's good or bad. I'm saying they are lying. Dangerous. They are lying. Yeah. Period. End of story. And they're also drawing naked kids, which is just weird.
Yeah, that.
And it's dangerous because it kind of goes back to what we discussed in our last podcast. People see like these memes and this meme culture that exists online, and they think it's like true. They believe it. They think it's funny, and that they think that because they're reading it off a screen that it's justified.
Yes.
Or
they're watching it on Netflix.
And exactly, and it's the same. It's the same thing. That's dangerous.
It's super dangerous. Yeah. You cannot create a show that is as sexually charged as that with those types of statistics and try to present it as facts when you know that the main people watching your show are going to be younger than 18 years old. That is ethically and morally wrong. And if Big Mouth comes out with another season, I will not be watching it because I was disgusted. I was absolutely disgusted with with what I saw. The only reason I watched both seasons was because I wanted to get a feel for it, because you really have to kind of look at the whole to be able to criticize it. I watched the whole as of right now. They only have 2 seasons on Netflix. I don't know if they're planning on coming out with a 3rd one. I will not be watching it. That's my opinion.
Hey, me too.
You can be mad about it. You can say that I'm wrong, but this is the way that it is. And for me personally, children are something where innocence needs to be protected, not pandered to, but it needs to be protected. And not only that, but I'm just gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say it. Okay, I know I wasn't. I don't know the best way to put it. I wasn't the most sexually active child. I don't think anybody really could take pride in that, being an adult. But even at the ages of 14, 15, 16. I still did not care about sex or any of those types of things anywhere near as much as those kids seem to care about it. Everything they see, it's just a sexual thing. Everything they want to talk about is a sexual thing. They want to talk about growing up and making out and getting handies and whatever else. It's like, we were not talking about that stuff. I've known you guys since we were very young, before the age of those kids, and we were not like that. We were not like that, and none of our friends were like that. We were not talking about sex all the time. Kids don't do that naturally. If there are external forces that influence them, absolutely they will. It goes back to what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, those are things that, no doubt, they when kids are younger or between that age group of 12 and 14, they discover all these things that exist, and they talk about it from time to time, or it gets brought up in conversation. Like you said, this is not something that is going on as much as I think the show portrays it. Yeah. And again, dangerous. Not good.
Super dangerous.
Wrong. Yeah.
Super wrong. Well, on that note, I guess closing this podcast, anybody have any other?
Yeah, I think that as far as the show goes, like, I know you're passionate about how you feel about it. I still find the show humorous. I don't know if I'm going to continue watching it. I'll probably watch some more of it. I don't know yet. I have to think a lot about this conversation we had, but I can appreciate the humor in it. Yeah. As far as the Planned Parenthood thing, I think that's great you brought that up, because that is dangerous. That's not a good thing that they're saying these things that are not true.
Right.
So
it was a quick Google search. That's all it was. It literally was just all I Googled was Planned Parenthood abortion statistics because I was curious. I wanted to see what it was, and the first link that came up was Planned Parenthood does not give accurate statistics by the Washington Post or something along those lines.
And if there's anything I think that I could take away from this, and maybe hopefully other people can take away from this, is just monitor what your kids what your kid watches, like especially because of just how easy it is to go on YouTube or Netflix and find these things. It doesn't make it okay to let your kid watch them just because it's out there. So
yeah. I'm glad that 15% is a small
15
number.
to 37.
Yeah.
22% margin of error. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal at all. Well, closing on that note, kids, remember, do your own research. Don't let TV shows or Netflix shows tell you what to think. And if you really are younger, sex is not that big of a deal. Go enjoy your life. Figure out your hobbies.
You're not a monster.
You're not a monster.
You don't have a monster.
You don't have a monster. Nothing's gonna happen if you don't lose your virginity before you're an adult. Save yourself for somebody that you really truly care about. And do some research if you're really that curious. Of course, we say that with caution, but do your own research and don't be a mindless sheep and just listen to what anybody has to tell you.
And don't let the culture tell you that all you want to do is just sit around and think about sex.
Yeah, because that's what they want you to think.
this is a fine blade, just like our fine videos. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, ring that notification bell, and you can further support us by following us on all our social media, which includes Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Patreon. Thank you.